Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, David Collins.
Hey everybody! Star Wars Celebration in London 2016, day one. You guys been having a good time? Come on, you been having a good time or what? Oh, just be still my beating heart. We've had so many great memories already today. We had an incredible panel all about Ahsoka Tano, the untold tales of Ahsoka, which was on the live stream. If you didn't get a chance to catch it, how many of you saw that panel? You guys see that panel? Great. For those of you that didn't, you can go back and see it on the live stream. That was fantastic. We got a lot of great stuff coming up tomorrow and Sunday right here on the Galaxy stage. Tomorrow we have Madame Tussauds here. We've got, how many of you seen that exhibit in London at Madame Tussauds? Great. They're going to be here to talk about the artistry behind that. We have an exciting new show to talk about, Lego Star Wars, The Freemaker Adventures. That's tomorrow as well. We've got a lot of great stuff on Sunday. We've got a great panel with the Lucasfilm executives on Sunday called Lucasfilm and the Art of Storytelling. And it's a great opportunity for all of you to get a glimpse into the creative process and the culture at Lucasfilm. Very, very excited about that. For those of you who are music fans, any John Williams fans out there? I'm hosting a panel Sunday morning called The Restored Music Cues of The Empire Strikes Back. You'll get a chance to see that if you're curious at all about the creative process, a bit of an intellectual exercise about scoring and the spotting process in terms of where to put music and where to not put music. So that'll be a lot of fun. But right now, we have a very special treat for you. Any Boba Fett fans in the crowd? You know, they're backstage. They can hear you. Any Boba Fett fans in the crowd? You know who they are. We're keeping up with the Fetts and life as a bounty hunter. Please welcome to the stage in Star Wars Celebration style, Jeremy Bulloch and Daniel Logan. Come on out, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hey, guys.
No, that's it.
How you doing, brother?
Most impressive.
So you two are old friends.
Old is the best word to use.
So old friends, or you could say that you're two halves of the same whole almost.
Yeah, two halves. I would say that. The most of the halves are this side. The main proper fools are here. Sorry, it sounds a bit strange, but that's what it is.
You know what, I'm going to scoot next to you guys. So
Yeah,
I can
come
hear you
on in,
better.
be part of the
Thank
family.
you. Oh,
It's
great.
actually, I've been sitting and thinking about Jeremy quite a bit, and not like that. But he was actually one of the first, if not the first, Star Wars celebrity actor that I had ever met, and it was at Celebration 2. Now we're actually in Celebration London, but 15 years ago I met Jeremy at Celebration 2, and I think we both say the story all the time. He introduced me on stage as Baby Boba, so I reacted back as well. Thank you, everyone. This is Grandpa Fett, and everyone just started laughing. But no one calls him Grandpa Fett, but everyone always calls me Baby Boba.
Still to this day.
That's good. Your youth is there. You know, you're a baby Boba.
I just never grow up.
No, you never will.
I'm a lost boy in Star Wars.
Well, that's the thing about Star Wars. It follows you everywhere around for many, many years, as you both know. And now you, of course, coming in Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, how has your perspective shifted over the years from those experiences to now? Of course, now you did the Clone Wars as well. You know, you're still carrying with you, I got to play Boba Fett. What does that mean to you at this age?
You know, it's a humbling and it's an honor to say that I was able to be part of a franchise like Star Wars. At 13 years old, you're going to school and you're learning everything that the teachers are teaching you, and that's pretty much life until you get out and you go to high school. Well, Star Wars came through at the time where I never even knew what I wanted to be in life. And now when people ask me, well, what do you want to be in life? I say, well, Boba Fett. You know, that's it. Like, I just love him.
That's sorted then. That's good. Very good. Yeah. And so when you first met, did you give advice to Daniel at all in terms of Boba Fett? Now, of course, you had been in the suit, and you got off the hook there in the suit because Tim was in the suit. Yeah.
I wanted the suit, but I got a little blue jumpsuit instead.
I do have a Boba Fett outfit. It was sent to me by the Dented Helmet and said, thank you for what you've done. Well, I hadn't done anything. And I do, I do actually occasionally wear it. Not down the street to get a pint of milk.
No?
No, not now. I mean, maybe a bottle of scotch or something, but no, that's what it is. I mean, it's an incredible thing. The people say, "You still Boba Fett?" I said, "Well, I was this morning when I went out, you know." But you have a lot of fun with it, and having the costume is terrific. Really.
What was the last time you put on the costume?
This morning?
This morning?
No. Oh, I see. I'm terribly sorry.
No.
No, it is 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
And that was for a hospital raising money, and I put the outfit on, which it was extraordinary because you start to go, crikey, I'm Boba Fett again, help. And it's a terrific outfit and a wonderful character to play.
Oh yeah.
How do kids react to you when you're in the costume?
They sort of do that, you know, that's the one. And I said, hey guys, don't go too far, otherwise I will be Boba Fett. And so people say, oh, we understand, oh, thank you very much. You feel quite powerful standing there, sitting there. Even now, I'm still feeling powerful.
It is a very powerful presence on this side of the stage, I do have to say.
Yeah, there is.
Now, let's talk a little bit about Mandalores and Boba Fett, because we've learned so much about Boba Fett since The Empire Strikes Back, right? What did you think of all of the changes as they came along? You know, first Attack of the Clones, and then of course the Clone Wars. Any thoughts on how the character has developed over the years versus kind of your initial take on it, or are they aligned?
I think having baby Boba, we'll get rid of that now, but having him here, I think that it's great. You're seeing the youth, the young Boba Fett. How was he? He was a bit rash, and this young lad here, we have a lot of laughs. He's done a terrific job of taking him on, the youth. You know, I can't do that diving through tents and diving through mountains and things. But no, I know that sounds funny, but it's a terrific character to play. Just be there and I'm Boba Fett. See, one laugh. You get one laugh. They're frightened.
That was a frightened giggle, yes?
Yeah, that was an upset day, that one.
And you got to, of course, voice, again, in the Clone Wars, you got to voice Boba Fett. Tell us a little bit about that experience. And that was just, what was that? That was just several years ago at this point, right?
Yeah, I think it was like 5 years ago I started doing the Clone Wars. It was funny because I used to see Dave Filoni. You guys all know Dave Filoni. At a restaurant or at the hotel or whatever, and I would try to grease up and try to offer to buy anything that he purchased. If it was a drink or his dinner or whatever it may be, I'm like, hey, can I get that for you? He's like, no, kid, chill out, I got it. So then when I got the call, I was like, oh my God, like that greasing really paid off. Like, I literally greased myself into another role. So when I asked him, I was like, dude, thanks so much for giving me another job, dude, I really needed it. He's like, no, I never gave you the job. I'm like, what? He goes, well, George actually gave you it. He said that he wanted Boba Fett in the Clone Wars called Daniel Logan. I'm like, that's like God calling you back to heaven when you lost one of your wings. You're like flying around all retarded, And it's like, whoa, here I go. And it was just to be able to come back after 8 years of really doing nothing, and then George Lucas to see something still in me and be like, hey, give that kid a chance.
That's a great story. That is actually really inspiring, and it's a certain amount of loyalty too. On the part of George Lucas to say, let's bring the continuity back. Let's bring Daniel Logan back. He made a huge impact in Attack of the Clones, and something similar happened to you as well with the prequels. You got to come back and play different characters and make cameos as well.
Yeah, that was nice of George as well. He just said this is a part of. Well, he didn't say Captain Colton because there was no name at the time, but it was just a day. But he said, well, welcome aboard, Jeremy. Nice to see you again. And he just drifted off. And then we did the shot, and it was over in minutes. But he's just been fantastic.
That's great.
I mean, even a minute of Star Wars is like a lifetime. You'll be immortal for a lifetime.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's actually a really great question for you guys. Total amount of time spent. I mean, here we are. We're obviously still talking about Boba Fett. Total amount of time on set working on this versus impact, because the costume is so powerful, the character is so powerful. How many days did you spend on set working on these?
4 days.
4 days.
About 4 days. Maybe an extra half further on, but the extraordinary thing is I was in the theatre, and I was very lucky to get away with playing Boba Fett because they wouldn't allow you to do both, theatre. But they did. They trusted that it would all end at 6 o'clock, and I would go on stage, and that was the end of my bit on stage. The following morning, 4 minutes, 5 minutes I did. Thanks for that, and that was the end of me. So 2 jobs at once, both gone within minutes.
Wow, and so I have a new appreciation for London traffic.
Yes.
So, and this was at Elstree at the time.
Yes.
Right? Which
yes.
was East London, is that right? Or where was it? Where was
That's a
Elstree?
good point. East London, no.
So getting
west.
from job to job in the same day was something you had to
Was
navigate?
something so I had to do, but I only did one day. But it was so dangerous, and I got away with it in a way.
But you still made it for your curtain? Yes?
Oh yes.
Oh, good.
And it was a thriller. So I was thinking, this will make them sitting on their seats, and they'll be jumping about. But I just, as I said before, I was very lucky. Got away with getting to the theatre just a little bit late, but I did it.
That's great. Now, what about you, Daniel? In terms of obviously a voiceover session is half a day, approximately. But you went in multiple times for that, and then Attack of the Clones. How long was that experience? Obviously, you had to go to Australia.
Yeah, it was a couple of months, but on and off. So I just did a terrible job so that I had to continue doing the same scene the next day, just so I knew I had another job the next day, you know? And they're like, this kid sucks. Like, okay, that is okay. Just do that take. No, yeah, it was about 2 months, but I'd go back to New Zealand, because I'm originally from New Zealand, for about a week, and then I'd fly back to Fox Studios in Sydney for about a week or a couple days, and then we'll shoot, and then I'd have fun hanging out on set. I was one of the blessed ones, though. I was actually able to go around the sets while they're actually filming episode 2 and watch the other actors while they did their scenes, which you're not really usually allowed to do. But I literally used that kid card as much as I could.
Smart.
Yeah, so I think I should have only really been on set for about a week, but yeah, somehow I was there for about 2 months back and forth.
Wow.
You see that Slave 1 going over the
I hear it.
I think it is Slave 1. If any of you have got tickets for Slave 1, that will be going in an hour's time. So, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, it strikes me too. You know, there's something so global about Star Wars here. You know, I'm obviously, if you can't tell from my huge accent, I'm from America, New Zealand. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. No.
And the UK. What is it about Star Wars after meeting so many people, and you probably get this question a lot, but you know, my answer for this always changed when I'm asked this over the years. Where you are now in life, what is it about Star Wars that makes it such a global phenomenon, and what is it that you see commonly from people? What is it that they say to you about their love for Star Wars?
Well, I just think it's extraordinary, the amount of people who are still there following Star Wars, following so many characters in the film. It's just extraordinary, and people, a lovely lady came up and said, thank you for coming back. Thank you so much. It's meant so much to me, and she cried. And I said, no, come on, you could play one of the parts as well. Let's see what we can do. But people have absolutely loved Star Wars. How many people still love Star Wars? Putting their hand. 6. Oh. Thank you. No, it's incredible. My youngest granddaughter just said she's just found out about Star Wars. And I said, what are you doing? Trying to hold me the tape. And she said, I just want to watch Star Wars with you, Grandad. And then maybe we could watch the early bits that you've seen and I haven't. So suddenly she's now hooked. She's hooked into Star Wars.
What's her favorite? Who are her favorite characters?
Boba Fett.
There you go.
Well, we played it about 50 times just to get used to the sound. But everybody here loves Star Wars, otherwise they would be sitting at home. I don't know. It's just fantastic.
But we wouldn't be here, you know? Like a guy asked me the other day.
Don't start arguments with me, kid.
It's like arguing with my future, you know? Like, I don't know. I don't think I want to argue with him.
This is what I was hoping for. Boba fight! Boba fight!
No, we're too much of a fantastic family for any of that stuff.
You guys are like family, right?
Oh.
You've known each other for years. You must have had fascinating conversations. Do you compare notes about the character and fan reactions to the character?
Actually, to be honest, I don't mean to be too serious, but Jeremy actually was the guy who taught me how to be at conventions. When I first went to my first convention in Milton Keynes, he looked at me like, this kid has ants in his pants. He cannot sit still. Like, I thought going to convention meant going around the booths, talking to all the booth owners, you know, like trying to win some deals, you know, like, hey, can I get that toy? I'll sign you 50 autographs. They're like, yeah, sure. It's a $10 toy, you know? I'm like, huh? Thought I was doing great. Then Jeremy and his wife, Maureen, they're like, Daniel, you must sit at your table. Like, people are going to come to see you, and if you're not there, how are they going to come see you? And I'm thinking, well, I guess they might come back. You know, he's like, no. So then I just saw how he interacted with the people, and I just realized, you know, like, this is a shared love. This character was based upon fans. Like, I was asked, do you think Boba Fett really died in the Sarlacc pit? And I said, that's not my answer. You guys are the fans who created this character, so you guys are the ones who can kill him off, too. If you don't think he's dead, he's not dead. And they're like, yeah, we love it. I'm like, hey, that's the truth, you know?
Is that your recollection of how you told Daniel to behave at...
Yes, I just said, no, I'm just being a bit grumpy sort of granddad and just sort of say, look, Daniel, the best thing is just stay back, wait, and then, you know, don't make fun of it at the moment. He said, no, I'm not, I love it. I know this is great, it's fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. I said, well, just be able to say, good afternoon. Are you enjoying the film? Showing a little clip there, and we have all this. And he's become as polite as everything since I beat him up.
Hey, that's not a joke. I've even had Kenny Baker punch me in my face. He said something, he's like, come down here. I'm like, okay, what was that? What the? I've been beaten up by a lot of Star Wars characters in this universe, I don't know why.
A rare honor.
Yeah, now I'm like, dude, I love him. Punch me again, you know?
So obviously, Star Wars means a lot to a lot of people. We talked about that. You've seen that in conventions, but you also use it for good. You've both been involved in charity work with Star Wars. Obviously, Lucasfilm has this great initiative, Star Wars Force for Change. Can you talk a little bit about some of the charity work that you've done? I remember you guys pulling into Germany a few years ago with Caravan of the Force.
Oh, yes.
You know, can you talk a little bit about some of your experiences doing charity work?
No, the Caravan, charity work should just come naturally, not I'm forcing my way to do this. And, you know, I just think I was blessed, if you could call it, you know, that luckily, and I ended up playing 2 other parts as well. But the charity thing has come in, and that's to do with the character, Boba Fett. And people love the character, as you know, and, you know, you can help a special, would you do this? We're going to a hospital. And they said, yes, sure, I would. If you were living next door to me, he would be right by my side now, say, come on, we're going to try and be funny. That's the worst thing, is trying to be funny to some of the kids in the hospital. And they say, well, which one are you? You can't both be Boba Fett. I said, well, we are sort of. And it's just like my granddaughter, as I said. She's exactly the same. And Star Wars will be forever, and it'll never go away, thankfully.
I
Not
certainly
now.
hope not. Yeah, come
Right?
on.
Yeah, it's crazy because you go through generations and people will usually tell you how old they are by when they first saw Star Wars, you know? You're like, oh, okay, so you're about 45 now, huh? It's like, what?
No.
So I wanted to ask, this is a question for each of you in turn. So if you were ever tasked to come up with an original Boba Fett adventure, let's say it's a story or a comic book or something like that, where would you take the character as you perceive that character? What kind of adventure would that be?
He'd keep his job as a bounty hunter, that's number one, but it will be on the side. He would do it, I've got to finish this deal off. Han Solo, got to get rid of him. We have got rid of him. You know, Boba Fett's there. No, we haven't. I mean, no, Boba Fett's this wonderful character that is going to be around, I'm sure. You know, it's just brilliant.
Yeah. What about you? Any ideas? More Clone Wars, or
Oh, yeah.
would you have kept going in that?
Well, we did keep going, but then they didn't bring him out.
What about any other news stories?
I think we should just do like Boba Fett vacationing, Boba Fett waking up in the morning, you know? What does he do? He goes and cooks himself some eggs, you know? He's in the kitchen.
I could see you playing that.
You
part,
know,
but-
just a day of the life of Boba Fett, you know? Goes out, mows the yard in his armor. You know, something funny, you know? I think that we're being so serious with these characters that it's just fun to be funny sometimes and just take a laugh at even the most serious of characters.
Yeah.
So I think maybe like a day in the life of Boba Fett, from when he wakes up to going to work in the armor or whatever.
Yeah, when you're playing a serious character, you often don't get to get the laughs, right? Do you have any favorite laughs in Star Wars? That, you know, obviously Boba Fett is always so threatening and so serious. Any favorite
Well,
moments?
the one that I did years ago when I had to say, put Captain Solo in the cargo hold. And I remember on the day, and people keep saying, no, that's rubbish. You didn't say that. I said, but they said, put Captain Cargo in the Solo hold. That's what I said. With the helmet on. But of course, you can't hear what I'm saying because you've got the helmet on. And at the beginning, I was saying, oh my goodness, what did I say that for? That doesn't make sense. Help. So I pulled the helmet on. I said, are you all right, Jeremy? I said, yes, I'm just dabbing my face down. It's quite hot. I'm okay. I thought, did anybody hear me? Well, of course, they can't because Boba Fett has got a helmet on. So I got away with that as well.
What about the freezing chamber with the knock-knocks and Vader with the cape?
What? Oh, yeah, I fell on Darth Vader's cloak. I put my foot on it, and he moved forward, and I just went back. And that's embarrassing, because you look so silly.
And that was let's talk about that set, because, you know, Jonathan Rinsler made the Making of Empire Strikes Back book, and he really went into detail about the conditions on that set. Very loud, because of the steam.
Yes.
Is that right? Very high up in the air.
Yes.
Very hot.
Yes.
And you can't see anything.
No.
And no one can hear you, and you can't hear anything.
And as you breathe in, you can't see a thing, and you're going almost. And it looked. I remember. I said, "This must look ridiculous." You're walking.
Looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks amazing. It looks ridiculous.
Yeah, you hear some of the raw audio, and you just think, "Oh my gosh, it must have been tough." And then you see it, and it's so incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you surprised when you first saw the movie?
Oh, it's fantastic. I remember holding my hands and going, "This is great." And walking out, "This is great."
Were you at the premiere? Where did you first see?
No, I wasn't at the premiere. I was in the theatre finishing off that job.
Oh, I see.
So I missed out on that and went to see it quietly with about 3 or 4 of us. But it was a super film. Empire, well, the new film is fantastic.
Yeah, let's talk about The Force
Yes.
Awakens. Let's talk about that, your reactions to that. That's
No,
great.
The Force Awakens, and the energy from the 2 leads is just, and I thought, I can't do that anymore. You know, running. It looks as though there was non-stop running, non-stop. It was incredible. And just the reaction from people has been great. But you're still young enough to run around the sand dunes and Slave
I
One.
love Jeremy. How do you like that? I just got my endorsement from Boba Fett himself.
Oh, did that
I was
what
going
I...
to say, Gareth Edwards is here. You could probably find him at the autograph table or something, and maybe say, "Hey, can I get you that? Can I buy you that?"
Yeah. Can I get you anything? Yeah.
Any
No,
thoughts on The Force Awakens?
I just thought it was great for see, the thing with me is I've been doing these for 15 years. Jeremy's been doing them a hell of a lot longer. But I would have these kids come to my table with these parents, right? And the parents would bring up this kid, and the kid, he'd be sitting there going, it's like, hey, go meet him. Do you know who he is? You know, and the kid doesn't have a clue who I am. But his dad was the biggest Star Wars fan, or his mom was the biggest Star Wars fan, who forced this poor little child to come and meet me. So like, you know who he is? No. You're like, oh, there goes my ego real quick, you know? Thank you, little 4-year-old kid. But after the Clone Wars and then the Rebels and then now the Force Awakens, it's allowed the next generation to have something that they can call their Star Wars. Like, you know, Jeremy, and he bought the huge fan base with 1, 2, and 3, right? Or 4, 5, and 6. Sorry. And then I got to bring my generation, which were technically his generation's kids, into Star Wars. But people don't know that in between the episodes of 6 and 1, there was actually 16 years of no Star Wars. And that's where I grew up. You know, I grew up where there was nothing on TV about Star Wars. So now, all you see is Star Wars. So it's like, now this kid's generation has a Star Wars for their own that they can call their Star Wars. But then now, his kids are going to have a Star Wars of their own, you know? And it's just going to continue forever.
That's awesome. Well, you know, I feel almost embarrassed at this awesome opportunity to sit here and ask you whatever I want to ask you. Well, what I want to do is really use this hour for the audience to ask you anything that they want to ask you in case you aren't able to do so in the autograph line. So what we'd like to do is open this up for an extended Q&A session.
Perfect.
With Jeremy Bulloch and Daniel Logan. So here's what we'll do. We're going to actually put a microphone down each aisle, right here and right here. If you have a question, now is your opportunity to ask Boba Fett, either one of them, a question. Just go ahead and stand up and line up in the aisle and just make a queue right behind the microphone and go ahead and ask away. Here's one. Let's see, right here. Yes.
Quick.
Hi. This is a two-part question for both of you. First of all, do you know, or would you like to, if there was any plans for Boba Fett in the future, say a standalone film or featuring in the next two main Star Wars films? And secondly, I would like to ask if Daniel, would you play Boba Fett in these said films?
Oh yeah, I'd give my life to be in Star Wars again. Oh yeah. I kind of dedicated my whole entire life. Well, they dedicated their life to me too. I mean, doing these conventions for so many years, it really became one of the biggest focus points of my life is to be a part of Boba Fett. They said that they were going to do a live-action TV show a long time ago. And when I had the Lucasfilm backing, it was more of a possibility of me being in that role. I used to work out with Ray Park every day just so I could get in shape and then do some flips like Darth Maul did as Boba Fett. But when it comes to the movie, now with the Disney takeover, if I don't get to play Boba Fett or Jeremy, then I just get to say, hey, at least the character still lives on, and then we still get to enjoy this character that everybody loves and the fans really created. So I would play him in a heartbeat. It wouldn't even take a second. I'd do it for free, you know? I
And
mean,
this panel would get bigger, right?
Oh yeah, I'll be like Jeremy's line, you know, all the way out. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for coming. See, the Clone Wars we really got a little jibbed on because we had about 10 episodes of Boba Fett doing some pretty amazing stuff and growing up in the Clone Wars, where you got to see the transition from him being a little boy to actually becoming a young adult man. Those were George Lucas's stories, so I don't know if they will actually become on Netflix or ever get released. But I mean, when I open those scripts up, I literally, and I don't cry, I started crying when I started reading through these scripts, just how powerful that character started
Because I
becoming.
was offered the part, that's why.
Yeah, well, they gave me Mrs. Fett.
Well, that's the great thing about Star Wars is you never know how that stuff comes back around. You never know. You always get surprised years later. I remember when they announced Episode 7 was going to happen. I couldn't believe it. I was in absolute shock. I remember I was in the studio with Corey Burton, actually, on a totally
Corey.
different project, and someone said, look this, and they opened up their laptop, and I literally hollered beside myself. I didn't even know that I did it. I was so surprised. And so even today, like at the Rogue One panel, you just never know what comes back around. So it's a great question because, yeah, I mean, we could be sitting here in the future having a very different conversation about Boba Fett. Yeah, I remember when that kid asked me that. That was great. Right over here.
Or we could have another guy sit next to us, you know?
Yeah.
It would just be another autograph on the toys that we've signed.
Testing. Hey, this question is directed to Daniel, whichever you prefer. You were relatively young in Attack of the Clones. You were, what were you, 8? Were you, no.
8.
How old were you in Attack of the Clones?
No, I was meant to be 8 years old, but I was 13. I was such a short little kid that it worked perfect.
You were 13, right. My question is, with all these new Star Wars films coming out, what advice would you give to young child actors who may get enrolled in this massive saga like you were yourself? Because here you are, so and so years after your debut, doing autographs, that kind of thing. They're about to be, whatever future kid's going to get swept up into this insane sci-fi world. They're probably not expecting what's about to come. What advice would you give to these youngsters?
From my heart, Star Wars has always taken care of everybody, down to the most simplest fan. Like Steve Sansweet, right? He's here, walking around. He's got the biggest Star Wars collection of different toys and memorabilia. But he started out as a fan and just loved Star Wars. Then I went to the Lucas Ranch, and he's got his own office out hanging out, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. One of my great friends, Mary Franklin, she just had love and passion with Star Wars. Now, She's one of the, you know, the coordinators, you know? I mean, it's just amazing. But it's like, everyone has an opportunity in Star Wars. It's just how hard do you want to work for that opportunity and how long are you willing to work for it? To get in the movie, I say play rugby for about 8 years, become really good, and hopefully an audition comes by like I did. No, and with the acting side of it, there's so many 501st and Rebel Legions out there that if you form yourself some part of their friendship, you automatically have a Darth Vader, a Darth Maul, loads of Jedis, loads of Stormtroopers, and you literally could create your own fan film that you can come to celebrations and put them up on the overhead and have all these people watching a film you created. You know what I mean? That's as simple as it is. You don't have to make it into the movie in order to make it. There's all these people that will follow whatever you do just because you are the same type of people who love the same kind of movie and the same storyline. So, I mean, you already have your audience. You just have to go out there and build it. You know?
Good answer. Yeah. Thank you very much. Great question.
It was.
Yeah, nowadays we are carrying a device in our pockets every day that can make a movie. That was not the case even a decade ago. You know, so it's amazing how empowered we are in order to be creative. And that's a great example to just DIY. Right here.
Hi, I have a question for both of you. First I want to say Boba Fett's been my favorite character since just about forever. And my question for both of you is, have you seen the holiday special cartoon? And if you have, what are your opinions on Boba Fett in that 1978 cartoon?
Oh yes, the cartoon, the famous one. I think I sort of looked at it a bit and sort of didn't do anything after that. I mean, there was nothing there to sit down and watch.
And there's another thing that I was talking about with Jeremy. Like a couple months ago, it hit me. I go, you know what? If they would have continued and had episode 4 as episode 1, Jeremy, I would never have had this job. Because Jeremy would have continued being that bounty hunter, especially with the way the fans took off to this character. It would have been him taking on bounties and then carrying on that legacy, right? I'm just so grateful that George Lucas did the twist, you know, and I got to be a part of it. But truthfully, like, this character is really Jeremy. He built it, and the fans were the ones who ran with him, you know? I mean, I love getting his toy. I'm like, I wish I got that armor, you know, but I love it, you know? It's amazing.
You're a toy.
I'm a toy, yeah.
No, so I was
a tool?
going back, when people say, do you think I should become an actor? I think people should have a go. I would say, don't do it, but the next time I'd say, go for it. But to begin with, I would say, don't be an actor, whatever you do, there's nothing. And then later on you say, go for it. So you give two little signals, yes or no.
You mean the second time they ask?
The second time they ask you,
Yeah,
so
because
you
it shows
go
that
for it, because he's still, or the girl, man, is still going for it, still going to get an interview. I must make it this time. They make themselves in such a mess. But finally, it's happened with many, suddenly they get a job and they go for it and they're through. So it's yes, no with that. Sorry, it's a bit bland, but yes or no.
No, it's a great lesson. You know, if you ask the first time, don't do it. But if they ask again, it shows that persistence of the persistence that it takes in order to make it, right? Yeah. Because it does take. You have to push a little bit harder and always do your best.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if we had YouTube and social media back when you were doing the films and whatnot? Could you imagine the different rap battles we could have created back in the day? You know what I mean? Do you guys ever seen the
what's
Boba Fett?
stopping you now?
Well, exactly.
We're lazy. No, have you seen the Deadpool versus Boba Fett one? You've seen it, young man? I was like, well, Ewan McGregor said to me when I said I'd seen Trainspotting. He's like, wait, what? Where's your parents? She's always working.
Are you leaving? Why are you leaving so early?
No, that was what Ewan tried to do every time I try and bring up his lines from Trainspotting. He's like, I'm like, you're the guy who went down that toilet.
What?
I only just found out what it was. What? Like, oh.
Right here.
Hi. I just wanted to ask Daniel what your favorite part of both either the Clone Wars or Attack of the Clones filming was.
What was that? Sorry.
Filming Attack of the Clones or voicing the Clone Wars.
What was your favorite? Was that the question?
Favorite part.
You know, I can't say a favorite because, as you see, I haven't been able to sit still in my chair. Even though moving, I'm still like, hey, here, over here, hey, wow. That's how I move. That's how I communicate with people, through my body and my language of whatever I do. Having to take all of that physicalness and hone it into a voice that will make someone believe you that you are that character, that little boy, in that situation at that time, it is so hard. But I had good friends like Corey. Corey was amazing. D, the whole entire gang, they all gave me advice on the Clone Wars that made it just that little bit easier. But I had the same opportunity in the Star Wars where Ewan McGregor, I told this in the beginning, one of my first interviews, just a simple thing like telling me he did a very smelly fart when I opened the door in Attack of the Clones. Like, I couldn't get that face right? I thought it was more like, well, like a police officer coming to my house when George said it's someone suspiciously looking. I'm like, oh, he's like, I was like, a police officer? He's like, no. Like, who have we got on our set? Train spotting police officers? Like, what are you doing? So
when Obi-Wan comes to the door and you're looking at him like,
yeah, that angry face. You know, I'm like, well, when I did it, it was so close to my nose, you could see my nostrils flaring like I was trying to smell his fart. But hey, it worked as long as I didn't do the nostrils. Apparently, that's what George said.
second episode of Friends. Right over here.
Oh.
Hello.
So, Daniel, what is the funniest moment that you've had either in the filming of the Attack of the Clones or voice acting in the Clone Wars?
I got to have a lot of fun on Attack of the Clones. Because I was so young, people allowed me to do things that I probably would not have or should not have done. I have so many great memories from that film with almost every single actor. Being that Christopher Lee, he's passed this last year, bless him in his soul. When I met him with my Nana was from Manchester, and she really loved him, knew everything he'd been in, and just adored him. While we were sitting in the studio, which is dark black, kind of like this, you can barely see each other on the other side of the room. And she starts hitting me like, son, you know who that is? I'm like, in my mind as a little boy, like, some old man? She's like, that is Christopher Lee. I'm like, okay. She's like, you gotta introduce me. You gotta take me to meet him. I hadn't even introduced myself. But with my Nana, she was more like my mother, so anything she wanted, I'd do for her. So I took her over and we're introducing. I'm like, hey, how you doing? I'm Daniel. He's like, great work. You're doing good on film, looking good. He asked me, is this your first film? I said, yes, Mr. Lee, this is my first big film. I said to him, so Mr. Lee, is this your first film? Right? He turns back to me, he goes, my boy, I have been in over 100 films. So as a boy, I'm like, oh God, you must be old. Well, that wasn't what you should say to a man who's had such a great career. So he looks back at me like, what? So I realized, well, hey, I might have pushed a little button I should not have pushed. So I look back at him, I'm like, 51, 52? He's like, my boy, you have just made my day. So, I mean, it was just simple things like that, you know, my big mouth that gets me in trouble. Then I have to try and work my way out of, the pit, the Starlight pit, to try and get myself back.
I never heard that story before. That is just great.
Yeah, well, it was just that my nan passed about 16 years ago, and when you lose someone, you try to forget some of the memories. But over the years, especially with Christopher leaving us, it really brought to light some of the stories that me and my Nana shared on set. And that was one of the ones that I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to tell that story to people because it's such a great and powerful story of how I almost insulted Count Dracula himself.
I bet he loved it.
He did. At the end of it, he walked away like, that is the most cutest little boy ever. He is a great kid,
Right here, please.
Okay, so Boba Fett's my favorite Star Wars character, and obviously he's a very visually iconic character. So obviously with that comes a lot of merchandise. I was just wondering, for you, both of you guys, what's your favorite piece of Boba Fett merchandise that you've seen?
What's your favorite piece of Boba Fett merchandise that you've seen? Any of the things that you've signed?
I have a replica helmet. It's quite funny. If you want to shriek and you're angry about something, I could put the helmet on and go, "Ah! Yeah, talk to me like that." I remember. And you're
Jeremy's needs a
yourself.
space.
No, but it's just something. I just look so. It's just upstairs is just tilted to one side. So he's been out in the Slave One, back again. You know, it's just a lovely piece.
I have two. I can't have one because a good friend of mine, Ashley Eckstein, she is creator of her universe. So one time I said to her, hey, why don't you do a panty line with, I have a Boba Fettish? Well, that was just, I'm full of great ideas. I never come through with any of them, but if you can use my ideas and run with them, good on you, you know?
Go for it.
So I get these pictures on my Facebook, right? Oh, I love my underwear. I'm like, oh my goodness, they were thongs. So I had all these ladies sending me these thong pics, like I was trying to judge them and, sorry. So that's my first one.
What's your second one?
My second one is the Boba Fett robe. I've never had the confidence, but I always tell my wife, one day when we get it, I'm gonna come out of the shower with the robe on, dressed like Boba Fett. I'm like, you ready for Boba?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the BBC News. We're having to close down at the moment because of the...
Hey, if she didn't have a Boba Fettish before, she definitely has one now.
Right here.
Hi, this question is for both of y'all. Thank you, Mr. Bulloch, Mr. Logan.
Sorry, one more time?
Oh, this question involves both of you. So my question is, if you could compare and contrast, I imagine it was different to approach the character when Mr. Bulloch, you know, I don't know how much setup they gave you. Was it beneficial to not know a lot about the character and go in and interpret the way you wanted versus, you know, later on, Mr. Logan, you know, this guy's a clone now, you know, he has a father, this is known. Did that make it easier or harder, you know, in interpreting the character and kind of guiding you? So if I could hear from both of you about that.
Well, I think it was much easier for me, you know, not to know exactly what he was about. And I think you just reacted to that. The scene with Jabba the Hutt, the first time, just standing next to him with the gun, but not, and I suddenly thought, Jabba's going, oh, ho, 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 oh, ho, 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 ho. And as an actor, you walk in and just stand absolutely still. That's the strength of Boba Fett. He just thinks Jabba the Hutt's an idiot. And he just stands still, Boba Fett, and will finish the scene, not speaking, and just standing. That was the strength of Boba Fett. That's what I think, anyway.
No, and that was amazing how powerful you made that character. I mean, could you imagine me, ADHD, trying to create this character? He would have been more like Jar Jar Binks. Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
Well, they did say that, yes.
Well, with me, I had Jeremy to go upon. So they literally made me sit in the studio for days just re-going over episode 4, 5, and 6. But then, you know, you had to bring a little creativity into it yourself, which was imagination. But most mine, yeah, was thanks to Jeremy. It gave me a standing platform to base this character upon. He already had a future, a past, and everything else. I just had to play the present, you know?
So the thing is, sorry to interrupt. And I'm just saying, with you, I think you were doing really well until the lines I heard. Jabba the Hutt said, "Eat the young boy." Did you hear that?
No.
No, it's new. Anyway, please, carry on.
Thank you both.
Oh, that's going to be in Rogue One, huh? That's how Boba goes out.
Right here, thank you.
Hi, this is a question to both of you. Assuming that Boba Fett survived the Sarlacc pit, how did he do it?
Ooh, how did Boba Fett survive the Sarlacc pit? Assuming he did.
Can't really tell you that because I'm thinking of what the character would do, and no one will ever know how you can do what Boba Fett does. So that's my
trade secrets.
No, I'm staying silent. But there's nothing happening. I'm just staying silent. I just think he would always do that. Just stand still. And we'll call on you, because it's a good question, call on you to help destroy everybody. You're next.
Me?
You're next.
I didn't put you in the Sarlacc.
Yeah, you mention the Sarlacc too often.
Bringing back bad memories.
Maybe I should move on to the next question.
Good question.
Thank you. Right here.
Hi. It's a kind of two-parter-ish. So for Jeremy,
Yes.
how does it feel kind of, you created this character that's been this massive impact in the entire Star Wars universe, and Daniel, how did it feel stepping into those shoes?
Well, I mean, that's very nice. I mean, Boba Fett was a great character to play, as I said, and also the outfit has everything you want. And it just looks good, and if you go with the character, the odd drifting movement, he's always on the go, just gently moving around. I think I was very well blessed to get the part. My half-brother was involved, associate producer. He said, you ought to get your agent onto this. It's not a big part, but you might as well go up for it. And they allowed me to do that. Then I thought, I'm never going to make both of these jobs settle into one. I was extremely lucky to play that part.
Thank you. Right here.
And I forgot your question, buddy.
Oh, his question was, what was it like to step into the shoes of Boba Fett?
Oh man, it was so awesome to have someone who already created a fan base, and then you just come and eat off of it. You know, you're like, all right, cool, hey, moochie moochie, give me some of yours, you know? No, but seriously, the fans in Germany had already done the work for me. We just needed him back. If he was going to be baby Boba or ends up being, you know, an older Boba in the next movie, we just needed him back.
Yeah.
Right here.
This is a question for Daniel. I was wondering, what do you think about the chemistry between Django and Boba? They have this like quite complex relationship. Django can give Boba a look, and he understands exactly what he means. It's like this warrior codes, and they know each other so well. What do you think of that, the chemistry between them?
I love Timothée Morrison. He's the guy who played Django Fett. He's a great guy.
Lovely guy.
When all three of us are together, it's like a family, you know? It's awesome. When I walked on set, the most person I was excited to meet was him, because he was from New Zealand and he was very famous all over the world. And it was someone that you could kind of be like, I want to be that guy. So when I first met him, he said to me, well, I guess I'm going to be playing your father, you're going to be playing my son. You call me dad and I'll call you son. So I said, okay, dad. He went, okay, son. So after that, their chemistry was just normally there. Like, I grew up without a father. But then after Star Wars, I kind of almost got a father through him, because he would call and be like, hey, is Daniel there? So then they'll be like, yeah, who's speaking? They'll be like, oh, this is his father. Well, they'll be like, what? Click, hang up on him. You know, I'm like, what? Don't hang up on him. Like, that's my father in Star Wars. You know, that's my Star Wars papa. So it would happen quite often. He would call and be like, oh, I'm his father. And then, what? And I'm like, no, stop saying you're my dad when you call my house. You know, but on set, we're father and son. But yeah, so that chemistry just came from it. Like, even off set, like, I go to New Zealand and he takes me into his house and feeds me and my family and shows me around some of the local like native spots that he knows of and stuff. So I love him. I've been blessed. I mean, I love Germany. I got blessed to be in such a great spot in the universe where I have so many great people now I can say I know and like family. But that chemistry, a funny story I'll tell you. So when people ask me all the time, well, what did you think when the head fell out of the helmet, when your dad got his head chopped off? I said, well, I didn't know he got his head chopped off. George never told me that my dad's head was to get decapitated, and I pick up this helmet, and I'm sad because he got his head chopped off. I had no clue. He just asked me, can you come into the studio, put the helmet to your head, do it like this, perfect, one take, we're done. So I went to the premiere, and I saw it for the first time, Jango Fett getting his head chopped off. And everyone in the audience went, and I went, yes! So they asked me later on, like, dude, that was kind of messed up. Why did you cheer when your dad got his head chopped off? And I go, well, no, I'm the baddest bounty hunter in the galaxy. So I never got to show off in the episode 3, but.
I'm sure you'll get other chances. There must be. There must be a place for a Fett somewhere.
I'll play Mrs. Fett if I have to.
Well, you are. You're wearing a dress, aren't you?
Hey, I look pretty good in heels and a dress. Sorry, wrong conversation.
Wrong place.
Wrong convention. Sorry, guys.
Right here.
This has probably been one of the most interesting panels I've ever been to, but First things first.
Is that a good or a bad thing? Because that's what my teachers used to say about me, and it was always bad reports.
I'm having a lot of fun, but
Daniel has a lot of talent, but he needs help to stay focused.
And then first off for Daniel, Pete from Disneyland says hi. So.
Oh, I love Pete. That's my Disney card.
So.
I love him. I'm like, hey Pete, I'm in town. Can my brothers or my sisters get a free? Yeah, come on in. I'll take you to lunch, and I'm always traveling. I never take. I feel so bad.
The question I have.
Right?
Is,
What a bad actor, right? Sorry.
No, it's totally okay. My question is, Boba Fett obviously has this cult following, has definitely been built up from the fans as well as the movies, and now with Episode 7 we have Captain Phasma and her kind of mysterious aura. Like, how do you feel about her, and do you really feel like she's kind of adding on to that saga that Boba Fett kind of started in the originals?
Who was adding on?
Captain Phasma from The Force Awakens.
Oh, she was beautiful. I saw her at the Force Awakens premiere, and she stood out of the crowd, you know. But I mean, just such a wonderful, and a tall woman, but just beautiful. Hey, I was just daydreaming for a second. I just think with the originals, we got this mysteriousness of these characters like Bosk, Boba Fett, you know, and that's what allowed us to explore them within our own minds and then go to these expanded universes like we have. I'm really wondering of what they're going to do with these new characters and how they're going to expand in the expanded universe their story arcs and where they or the fans project that character to go. Yeah. I want to see Boba back, though. You know what I mean? I do. If it's not me or Jeremy, I just want to see him back. Like, we all been waiting for him. It's
Who
not
wants
just me.
more Boba Fett here?
Right?
Sorry. Nice one. Well, this has just been the highlight of my day. I've just had such a great time. This is a perfect way to wrap up the first day of Star Wars Celebration. I just want to thank both of you for taking the time to share your stories, share a bit about who you are and your personal lives and how Star Wars has affected you. So thank you so much. Please join me in giving a Star Wars Celebration warm round of applause to Jeremy Bulloch and Daniel Logan, keeping up with the Fetts. Everybody have a great night. Thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow.